All right, good morning, people of YouTube. So this time we are back with a Bt10 deck profile. This is going to be a deck that is a lot of fun. It is by no means tier 1, but the only reason it won't be tier 1 is because not a lot of people are going to play it. To be tier 1, a deck has to have representation and also be good. This deck is good because it gets a lot of attacks in with jamming, with multiple security attacks in on Digimon that can unsuspend themselves. Similar to what Blue-Wear Garurumon is going to be doing. But this is going to be focused on Thestismon. You might be able to see this is on my phone, but this is the card that we get in Bt10. It is a new Digimon that is a level 5 that evolves for 3 that says whenever you Digivolve into this, if you have 6 or fewer cards in your hand, you can draw 2. But also, whenever you attack, you can discard 2 cards in your hand and unsuspend yourself. So this is going to be a card that lets you get multiple checks in. And then with Kiyoshiro, you're getting jamming. And with offensive plug-in A, you're getting multiple checks. That is the main combo of the deck, and that is what we're going to be doing to OTK our opponent. So we will be going into the deck profile card by card now, kind of explaining how this deck is supposed to function. So if you guys like this kind of content, make sure you guys like and subscribe. And we're going to go ahead and start with the main combo pieces of the deck, being these cards, the Kiyoshiro and the offensive plug-in. So I've already explained the level 5 and how it unsuspends to get, multiple attacks in. Offensive plugin A says if you have a Digimon, or if you have a Tamer in play, you can use this without meeting the color requirement, and one of your Digimon just gets security attack +1. That's really nice. Also, it has a really cool security effect that says if it's hit, you reveal 3 cards from the top of your deck, you add a Tamer, or add a Tamer to your hand, and then put this card into your hand. So it helps you grab one of your main combo pieces, Kiyoshiro. So what this card says is whenever you attack with a Digimon that has Jellymon in its Digivolution cards, you may suspend this Tamer to have that Digimon gain jamming. So, jamming, security attack +1, 2 attacks. That's 4 security. And the rest of the deck is Rookie and Champion Rush, so we are going to be able to beat them down pretty quickly. So, put these there. Yeah. Going on to the level 2s, I got 4 copies of Veedramon. This is a card that just says when attacking, if you have jamming, you draw a card. Because of Kiyoshiro, that's pretty good. We are going to be having jamming most of the time. So going into the deck level by level, we got the level 3s. Got 4 copies of the Veedramon from Bt3. This just has jamming in and of itself, which makes it a really nice turn 1 opening. You can evolve this on top of the Veedramon, maybe play a Tamer. And then on your next turn, if you promote this Veedramon and you also have the plugin in hand, then you can just kind of go in for 2 checks very early, which is really cool. This card is also really nice to evolve on top of because it's going to be living its initial check. And then if you evolve it into something like a Leomon, then you're going to put your opponent in an awkward position where they don't want to necessarily swing over it. So going on to the rest of the level 3s, we got our obligatory Jellymon. We need these for the Kiyoshiro combo. We got 4 copies of the promo, which says when attacking, if you have Kiyoshiro in play, you get to draw a card as an inheritable. Really nice inheritable. Lets us filter more cards into our hands so that we can discard them with Thestismon. Next, we got 4 copies of Jellymon from Bt9. This card, whenever it's in play, if we play a Tamer, we get to draw a card, which lets us, again, get more cards into our hand for Thestis, which is nice. But also, it has an inheritable effect that says when a card effect is added, or when an effect adds a card to your hand, this will include drawing. Like if you draw off of the Jamming Veedramon, then you will get to return a level 3 Digimon to its owner's hand. So you can bounce like Terriermon and Madoki Betamon cards like that, which is kind of nice. Lets you pop off with your Hammer Sparks. So I think these rookies are absolutely mandatory. And then we're going to go into the rest of them right now. I have 2 2-cost vanillas, because something that we want to be doing in this deck is we want to be putting a lot of bodies on board to threaten a lot of security checks. This deck can hit a lot of damage very early, and, having 2-cost vanillas to help you do it is really nice. One of the cards that we do get in Bt10 is going to be this new Bluecomon. It is a 2-cost to hard play, 2-cost to evolve into 5,000 power. It's pretty cool. I think these cards are going to be replaced by that Bluecomon just because 5,000 power does have a lot of potential to live into security. Just so you know, this deck is built right now for Bt9, but the only card in Bt10 that we are getting is the Thestismon, and that prompts one other change. So whenever we get to that section, I will explain exactly which 6 cards I am swapping out whenever Bt10 drops. But these 2 are some of the cards that I'm dropping out for Bluecomon, so that's a separate point. But 2-cost vanillas are very good at establishing damage. Next, we have a single copy of the Starter Deck 8 Veedramon. The reason this is in here is because of its inheritable effect to draw us an extra card if we have 7 or fewer, which, again, helps us hit combos for Thestismon. And then for the last rookie of the deck, I have a single copy of the promo Gabumon. So we do want to see our Tamers. This is an on-play that lets us search 5 off the top of our deck and add any Tamer. So that's really nice. This card can grab other colors instead of blue as well, which can come up. But Gabumon is just a really good card to help us make sure that we are seeing Kiyoshiro, because this deck kind of does need to see Kiyoshiro to get off the ground. So this is kind of a necessary card in the list. Next, for some of the main combos right now, if you're trying to play this deck in Bt9, we got 3 copies of Veedramon and 3 copies of TeslaJellymon. So these are cards that I absolutely will be playing whenever Bt10 rolls around as well. Veedramon has the same effect as Thestismon. You just don't have to discard 2 cards. Once per turn, if you have a Tamer in play, you just get to unsuspend it, which is really bonkers. The only downside about this card is the 3-cost to evolve into, which can be heavily mitigated. Especially if you're establishing this in the raising area. A lot of decks will be building up and raising, so you can kind of do the same with the Veedramon, and then pump it out, and then swing 4 checks with the plug-in A, and the Kiyoshiro will give you jamming, so that's really nice. TeslaJellymon, whenever you attack, at the end of the attack, you get to trash 2 cards in your hand to unsuspend. It's kind of just an inferior version of Veedramon, but it is a 5-cost to hard play, and it is a 2-cost to evolve into, so it just kind of has some better stats. But the discarding is just a little bit worse than just being able to do it for free, obviously. But having the 6 unsuspenders in our level 4 lineup is really, really cool. This is something that I very much like. I only have room for 1 copy of Leomon right now, so I'm only playing 1. But this is a good card, like I said, to evolve over the Veemon that has jamming, because it makes your opponent not want to swing into it. Also, it's a blocker for the deck in case you ever feel like you need one, but that's kind of fun. Next, I have 2 copies of Lobomon. Lobo for game is pretty good. We play a couple blue Tamers, so you might as well play a couple Lobo. This is the package that is getting replaced for the Thestismon and for the green plugins whenever Bt10 comes out. But right now in Bt9, I have 3 copies of Stingmon in the deck and 2 copies of Veedramon. If you're playing this deck right now, Stingmon is really cool because you can hard play it for 3 and then do a Jogress. Like, if you have Veedramon in play, you've swung twice with this, you're set to 3 off your memory tamer, you can hard play the Stingmon, evolve into Pyildra off of the DNA, and then get 2 more swings in that way. The only downside is that Pyildramon is treated as a new Digimon, so if you had jamming and you had the security tack up from the offensive plugin, you will lose it. But on the flip side, you will get to draw a couple more cards off of the Stingmon effect. You're still getting multiple attacks, so that's still really good. And whenever you DNA Digivolve into it, you get to bottom deck a 6,000 or less, which can help you get around blockers if your opponent is still playing those. So that is pretty cool. This is a nice package, but again, these 5 cards will be replaced with 3 copies of Thestismon and 2 copies of the green Digivolution plugin S. This card is really nice because, again, if you have a Tamer in play, you don't meet the color requirement, but you get to draw a card and then Digivolve into a Digimon from your hand that has an evolution cost of 3 or less. So you can go into the Veedramon really easily that way. You can go into Thestis, lets you draw an extra card, and then you still draw off evolving, so that's really good. Also, this card has a good security effect that lets you add a Digimon from the top 3 of your deck to your hand, as well as this card. So, Digivolution plugin S is definitely something I want to be playing in the future. Right now, instead of these cards, if you don't like the Pyildra Stingmon combo, you could play Cerberusmon all the way back from Bt1. Twice per turn, this has a when attacking effect, lets you discard 3 cards in your hand and unsuspend. The problem is this happens before the security check, so if you die against like an option in security, you're still discarding the cards to unsuspend anyway, whereas with Thestis and Tesla, you discard at the end of the attack. But the advantage is you get to do this twice. It's just discarding 6 cards in your hand is a lot, and you're only 6,000 power, so if your opponent does have a blocker, you do kind of lose to that. So for that reason, I do like the Pyildramon more right now, but obviously this package is inferior to the Thestis and the Digivolution plugin S package, because that is just immense value for this deck. And then rounding out the Digimon, I have 2 copies of Deathexmon, because you can. Basically, the common rule of thumb in Digimon right now is if you can play Death-X, and you're a deck that might lose to some specific things, you should play Death-X. For example, this deck has a very hard time against Magnamon X Antibody if you do not play this card. But because we are playing this card, we have answers to it just naturally that we can just draw into with our plethora of draw options. So that is really nice. I do really like this card. And it also helps if your opponent is trying to go wider than you. Next, for the options, to kind of close out the deck, we got 3 copies of Hammer Spark. Lets us extend, lets us make some plays. Always a good card. And then we got the 1 copy of Ice Wall. Helps against D-Reaper. It's also really good against, just any deck that is trying to win if you see it. It's also a good security check. So this Ice Wall realistically could be a 4th copy of Hammer Spark, and it's something that I've been toying with the idea of, and I might test out in the future. But the last option that we are playing in the deck is 1 copy of High Speed Plugin D. This is a really neat card because what it says is for the turn 1 of your Digimon gains jamming, and it can't be blocked. So if your opponent's playing like Black War Greymon or something, and they get the Greymon inheritable that gives them blocker, or they're playing something just really weird that just has blocker, like some type of Ragnalord whenever that starter deck comes out, this card can help you get around that. But also, it can give you jamming if you didn't set up the Kiyoshiro earlier. So this card can act, like with the Gabumon, as a way to kind of get around needing that Tamer, like help you get more options in the deck to kind of just, still hit. So next, for the last 5 cards in the deck, we have a couple Tamers. I'm playing 3 copies of Davis Motomiya right now from BT3. This card is in here right now because we are playing the Pyildramon and Stingmon package. In Bt10, 2 of these will be replaced with the Kiyoshiro from Bt9, which is also a memory tamer. And it says when you attack with a Digimon that has Jellymon in its name or is level 5 or higher, if you have 7 or fewer cards in your hand, you may suspend this tamer and draw a card. So this card can help us just get more cards at all points in the game rather than when we just play it. But right now, since I am playing the Pyildra and Stingmon package, getting +2 off of Davis is really valuable. And then the last 2 copies of cards in the deck we are playing is 2 copies of Mimi, the purple one from BT3. This card is really cool because it can let us plug in for just 1 memory. Like, if we open a memory tamer and we have, like, Kiyo and the Mimi, then I can double offensive plug in A for 3 memory, and then clear 6 security with a Veedramon. So that's pretty cool. You can also do Hammer Spark plays and just gain a memory. You can Ice Wall for free. Mimi's just a really good card. It also dissuades your opponent from playing their memory boosts, their Hammer Sparks, and things of that nature. So that's about all I have to say about the deck. It's pretty straightforward on paper. Just swing a bunch of times with jamming and security attack up and win the game that way. It's how Pyildramon's won in the past. It's how Imperial has played all of the time since its inception. It's how Garurumon plays now. It's how Black War Greymon plays. Multiple swings with multiple security attack is a very viable way to win the game. So, expect to see this do something at some point. Somebody will top with a deck like this at some point in the BT10 meta. Mark my words. But that's all I have to say for you guys today. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments down below, and we will see you guys next time. Bye, everyone.